Hello there, Cerebrum17 once again. This is my Burial at Sea 1999 mode video walkthrough. This is the new Bioshock Infinite DLC, part 1 of 2, and we're moving into chapter 3, the Pavillion First Floor. I believe this one is called. And this is where the game pretty much begins. This is where you're going to be facing challenges, this is where you're going to be shooting, this is where you're going to be doing the Bioshock experience of exploring combat exposition, and so on and so forth. I do want to apologise as well, guys. You might have noticed, but my voice or my breathing might sound a little off. That is because I am under the weather at the moment, and I'm an asthmatic, so it always affects my chest, it always affects my breathing. And because I'm trying to talk, you know, quite reliably in these videos, so there's no awkward silences, and so the whole thing kind of flows, it can be quite tough on the old throat, and subsequently on the breathing. So if you notice that my cadence is a little bit different, or if there's any cuts in the commentary where it just kind of stops and then continues and it's a different tonally, it might mean that I went into coughing or I had to blow my nose, or, you know, you've all had a cold. We're human, it's what happens. It's bullshit, we always make it out to be more than it is, but at the time it feels like hell. So that's kind of the situation. But we've now got the skyhook, or the pneumatic grabber as it's called, and when you hook up onto this vantage point, you're going to be introduced to the new enemy, who is essentially the ice equivalent of the fireman, and I think he's called Old Man Winter. That's the name of the vigor he's using. I don't know if he's got a name specifically, but these are the standard splicers. These are two melee splicers. You can generally tell the melee guys. One of them has a bag on his head, like a box, sorry, not a bag, and then this guy has a club, so that tells you he's going to try and beat you up. And the cool thing about these guys is you can stun lock them with the smack. Not a fan of the controls though, because you can't make B melee attack and the right analog stick crouch, which is a tactical layout in Call of Duty, and it's the one I prefer, but you can't do that. So I have to push my analog in, and my analog's not in the best state, so it can be kind of this tedious, clicky nonsense fest that we've probably all had at some point. But a cool technique on the early parts of this game, because you'll notice we start with 3 rounds and full salts. I'm going to try and execute as many people as I can. If you see a splicer with its back to you, crouch, get behind it, and hold the right analog in, which is another thing I hate doing, but it does the execution move, which is an instant kill, if done correctly, and here it is now. During the animation, I don't think you can be damaged, but after it, you are very vulnerable. As we see here, we've got two splicers bum rushing me. I've got a little bit of ammo. I'm getting beat to fuck, but luckily enough, the fight is over, and you hear the strings of the violin go crazy, signifying that there's no more bad guys. Something I have to address as well, folks. There are a couple of glitches in this DLC, which is kind of sad to say, but there are moments where you can't open doors because it thinks you're in combat when you're not in combat, and then you move away and it does the with the violin, and then you go back to the door and it still thinks you're in combat, and then you run away and it does the bloody violin again. Like, I had to reload and do an area again so that it wouldn't do that bullshit. And then a second one, which I noticed on forums that people were having, which I've had myself twice. There are certain doors that spin before they open as they're processing and loading the level, and sometimes they'll spin forever. And the problem is, because you cranked something to set the door in sequence of spinning and opening, you can't touch anything else, so it's disabled your ability to interact. So when the door doesn't open, you can't turn around and go through the other door, because the other door requires you to pull a lever, and the prompt is completely gone. And the only way to fix it is to restart the checkpoint, and I've already mentioned in a previous video that the checkpoints in this DLC are horrible. You can literally have to do 2 to 3 full rooms worth of fights between checkpoints, and the thing that bugs me the most is not the fights. You know, I can do fights, I can do the combat. That's why I like the games. I like the exploration, I like the combat. But the thing that pisses me off is when I spend 10 minutes looking in a room, picking up stuff, and you know, just soaking in the ambience and the decor and what have you, only to have to do it again to get all the stuff back. And it gets to the point where if I die on a sequence, I will fucking ignore everything in that room and just run past it, because I can't be asked to do it again. And that's my biggest, you know, gripe with the checkpoint issue. But once again, we're lickpocking, the new sport from Braziers. And we're lockpicking the door, or we're picking the lock. My English language skills today are way off. something that you did a lot in Bioshock Infinite, and we're going to be moving up to the ice rink so that we can get the plasmid that you saw that guy using. This is a quad of enemies, and there's more than just these dudes, so I do the secondary function on the Devil's Kiss, and those stairs to my right, 2 guys come down that with guns. They can also come from the one behind me, so you want to be careful. But you'll notice the Devil's Kiss killed all of them. It did take 2 charges, but it worked a treat, and you can hear the other splicers right now. So I climb up this so I can do a jump attack, and the jump attack detection is pretty shit at times. Not a fan of it, but I beat that one down, loot the body. One thing I felt as well, and I don't know if this is just because I've not played the game in a while, but it takes forever for your shield to start regenerating. It reminded me of Halo. Like, I don't know if it was Halo 3 or Halo 2, but when you lost your shield, you really felt vulnerable for ages. You might wonder why I did this. I noticed that he was a melee guy, and the melee guys can't shoot you, obviously. So instead of wasting my handgun ammo, I decided to use the sky attack to just be a little bit more efficient. But when you move up this particular area, there's a trap there with a barrel and some oil. There's also a turret in this room I'm facing that has fantastic vision, so you want to be careful with it. Behind it is a piece of gear and just stuff to pick up. And all you want to be doing is making your way up. You know, there are branching paths, but it's never too unlinear for it to be ridiculous. And here Elizabeth goes, proving that she was just not programmed to be detected by anything. There's Filthy Leech. Using a plasmid to kill gives you a little bit of Eve, which sounds like a decent thing, but I don't really... I said plasmid, did I? Did it say plasmid on that? Oh, because the R plasmids were in Rapture. Weird that they've got the... Well, I suppose it's the whole fucking lighthouse theory, isn't it? I keep forgetting about that bloody Deus Ex Machina of a plot device. You know, we have this in this timeline because of the lighthouse theory. But when you drop down here, there's a bunch of dudes fighting each other. I don't know why, I'm not entirely sure what factions or what's going on, but the best strategy I found was to just let them do their thing. You'll notice I am intervening and shooting. You'll also see how much damage I'm not doing to them with the hand cannon. If you get a headshot, it does considerably more, but even then, they take 2 headshots sometimes. And another good advice piece is that just then, if you're in the middle of a fight and you know you're in a bad situation, like your shield's just broken and there's a few guys around you, and you get the prompt by Elizabeth, do the prompt. You get iframes in that prompt, and I haven't tested this, but it's just a theory of mine. I think the delay of regeneration will still tick forward when you're in that animation of receiving something from Elizabeth. So instead of being vulnerable and taking more damage, you get iframes, and then when you're coming out of it, you're that much closer to getting your shield back, or maybe the enemies have run to a better position, which puts you in less danger. It's not something you can rely on because you can never dictate when she's going to do it. There's just, when the prompt's on the screen, if it's going to benefit you or you need a bit of iframes, feel free to do it, because it worked wonders for me on this piece of DLC. Something to note here as well, guys. If you shoot the barrel near the turret, it will kill the turret. I was thinking of saving it for enemies, because I'm that way minded for some reason. Whenever I see a barrel or a trap, I always want to use the maximum amount of kill potential with it, and a lot of the time it leads to me not even using it, which is kind of the Final Fantasy or RPG elixir theory of, you're so conservative in response to saving these powerful items that you get to the end of the game never having used them. And I do that on a lot of things. I do that on games like this. Like you get your rocket launcher or you get your really powerful weapon and you save it for the situation where you think, I might really need it. And then because you're quite an efficient gamer, you never need it. You'll notice my gun's glowing red. I have equipped a piece of gear that allows me to stack damage every time I kill somebody. It gives me a nice little bonus, but to be honest, I don't think it's that useful. I think that's one of those abilities that's only really useful at the beginning of a fight, for obvious reasons. But I think this is a game you should probably play on PC, because especially now I've been watching a lot of the next-gen consoles that are pumping out, really nice visuals, really high resolution. Some of them have high frame rates, some of them don't. But when I came back to this game, there was some ugly fucking textures in it. you know, some textures that kind of made me sad, because when I remember back to it, I remember it looking beautiful, and it is a beautiful game, but my frame of reference has shifted now from, you know, playing quite a lot of PC games, you know, from playing really nice looking games, and then you come back and you kind of, it doesn't look as high fidelity as I remember, but it's still a fantastic looking game, as Elizabeth stands in the line of the turret and it does nothing to her once again. But the achievements that you might be interested in, or the trophies if you've got this on PlayStation, are easy. They're very simple. There's one for finding all 17 audio logs, which is not too bad to do. I think I found 16 of them on my first playthrough. There's an achievement for killing 10 turrets, which it says, I think on the description, you've got to do it in a playthrough, but that's not true. That was a mistake just then, guys. I was trying to hit the turret. I don't know if I did. I think I hit a person. Yeah, I did. I hit a dude. Never ever possess, you know, random dude over machine, because the machine will always do better, and the machines are harder to kill, so when the AI eventually does murder your friend, it saves you the job of doing it when it comes out of possession. Which leads me on to a pretty good point, actually. A lot of people said that possession was a win button on the main game, and I never used it, but I am aware that Bioshock has always kind of had a win button. On the first Bioshock, it was telekinesis. If you didn't use telekinesis on Bioshock 1, you were missing out on the ability to kill anything easily. So I decided to use the ability to take over people's bodies and minds and things, and it turned out to be a very, very good choice. I also bought the upgrade so that it doesn't take as much salt to do. Or Eve, sorry. Is it salt? It is salt. And what that means is, on my first playthrough, I was freezing people and shattering them, but then I realised when you possess somebody, because the AI is so aggressive and so powerful on the hardest difficulty, that they kill that person you've possessed really quickly. So you're essentially getting a free kill every person you possess just because of the way the AI functions. And if he does some damage or kills some people, that's just gravy, baby. But thank you for watching, guys, and as always, you take care now.